Hi, Rigsters here, now with another episode of Forza Horizons 4. This episode, per a user request, I am going to be covering a 2011 Mazda RX8 R3. But I'm going to do something a little different with this video, unlike the previous ones I've been doing. I'm going to be doing a brief history while I'm tuning, and going to tune it for drifting, but not make it utterly ridiculous. So, while I'm doing this, I'm going to start off with the engine. Now, this particular car was the last pure rotary powered car ever made in significant numbers, at least in the United States. I am not sure in Europe or Asia, but I'm pretty sure it didn't last much longer there, mostly because of emissions regulations, and also that it couldn't hit fuel economy targets. It was a decent sports car for its time. This was the last model gen of the RX8 series, starting from the RX1 to RX7 series, some of which we never got in the States until people imported some of them. The RX3 to the RX7 were considered iconic. This was the swan song of the rotary engine. Now, the rotary engine, like this rotor's compression tuning knob here, it's basically, unlike a conventional piston-powered engine, it's literally a triangle doing the 4 strokes. But the reason why rotary engines outside of Mazda's more well-known rotary engine designs, there are some other out there that actually did sold in significant numbers, but they're not really as common as the Mazda ones, or at least what people know about in common knowledge, is that they tend to consume a lot of oil over their lifetime, because the oil is needed to lubricate the piston rings for the rotary, because it's literally a triangle that's spinning really fast. And if you don't watch your apex seals, which keeps the oil from leaking out of the seals, they tend to burn oil and can eventually shred itself because it has nothing to lubricate it. Now, Mazda, to their credit, within reason, made them pretty viable and decent up till around 2012-ish for the United States. They're very fun to drive cars in real life, is based on what I've heard, especially with the 6-speed manual. The automatics were okay, but they weren't necessarily as fun. They worked, they just weren't as fun. These cars could still be bought and driven. They still exist in real life. However, you really need to know what you're doing if you want to keep them running properly with their engines, some of them which probably had engine rebuilds by now. The main issue is with the particular RX8 versus the older ones is that the complexity of the emissions software and the fact that they couldn't get as good fuel economy because they make most of their power at high RPM, but they're pretty much garbage for low-end torque unless you put slap turbos on them. Twin turbos to be exact. They're a bit pokey until they're revved up, and boy, do they sound amazing when they rev up, though. So, for this particular build for the drift tune, I'm trying to keep it within Class A. It starts off at Class B, and since I'm trying to compensate for the lack of torque, because, I mean, it's a 3,065-pound car in the game, at least, we want to increase the power from... Let's see here, from 232, 159, let's bump it to 287, 182, and we also lose 2 pounds of weight, so we want to definitely do that. Exhaust is always a good standby, and plus it'll sound nicer. It also reduces the weight by, see here, 10, yeah, about 20 pounds, so we definitely want that. Intake is always a good option in this game. That reduces the weight by 3 pounds with the maximum upgrade, and it gets it to A class, so I gotta really watch that. Let's also decrease the weight with the flywheel. And what else do we need? Oh, brake tuning. We definitely need that. This allows me to change how the wheels lock up when you hit the brakes. And absolutely critical to make a drift tune work is normally, in most cars that have the option for this, most rear-wheel drive cars, not all of them, but a lot of them have the option of mounting drift springs. This allows you to tune for more instability, and you definitely need the roll bars too to be able to tune that, because you need to be able to tune how the way the car rolls as well. Reducing the weight, of course, always helps too. Let's subtract 244 pounds so I have some room to work with. Another thing I want to tune is the clutch. I want to make sure get a transmission upgrade here. And definitely differential tuning, so otherwise this whole build wouldn't work. Now for tires, I generally gonna do less grip. Not too much less grip, but maybe... Let's see how much grip that does. Let's see what it starts off with. Yeah, let's just start off with street tire. And let's increase the rear diameter by 1. So we go from 225 to 245s. The reason being that I'm being very conservative with the tire increasing. Yeah, let's do 235s on the front as well. It's because with drifting, you want it to be very close in diameter to start with, and then you can dial back or increase the tire width if you need more traction. Because you want to have enough grip in drifting that you'll be able to recover from your spins. Because you're deliberately trying to slide the car around, but you want enough grip to, recover from your drift. Because you can't drift in one direction forever unless you're doing it in a circle. Now, track width, I'm going to do maximum. That increases the cornering lateral G's. It spaces out the wheels. As you can see, stock it's like that, but when you space out the wheels further apart, it increases stability in cornering. By a noticeable amount, it does affect the handling model. I like the stock rims. I don't like to modify that. We don't really need downforce, but we could do... Oh, that increases it. Oh, it only increases it by like 2 pounds. I want it to look different. Yeah, let's do that. Not adjustable. Yeah, if you're going JDM, might as well go all the way, eh? Now, a thing not to do. If you're learning drifting and stuff, you don't want to do too much power. And since I'm trying to keep this in A class and I like the engine enough, then I'm not going to do that. Now, you can in this game, and sometimes you can do this in real life too, but it takes a lot of tuning work to do, is you can make an all-wheel drive setup actually be drift happy. But you need a lot more power than 354 horsepower and 224 foot-pounds of torque. Yeah, you need a lot more power for that to work. It's not very realistic, but it can be done. Another thing you can do is increase the power even more with a turbo or a centrifugal supercharger. Supercharger actually would increase some torque, but I'm not going to do that. So let's increase the engine power just a little more here. Oh, yeah, the throttle body reduces the weight a little bit and increases the power. So let's do that. See if we can increase the power a little more. Yeah, I could. Let's increase it some more, baby. Yeah, 792. Okay, can increase anything else? I could do the... Well, yeah, might as well need 300 foot-pounds of torque. Let's do it. Might as well, eh? Alright, so let's install this setup. Okay. Let's wait for it to save here. So now we go into tuning. So, let's start off with tire pressure. So, basically with tire pressure, if you set it higher in this particular game, just like the tooltip is saying, you can increase the speed and responsiveness, but it has more sudden loss of grip. But if you have it too much at lower PSI, it will heat up faster, but it also causes less grip over time as they get too hot. So I'm going to start off with making the front at like 36 PSI, and I'm going to keep the rear at stock. The gearing is going to be interesting. I'm going to gear this more towards acceleration, of course. and do like 4.90 gears. And just start off with that there. If I need to tune out the individual gears, I will. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so if camber, negative camber decreases your understeer and increases corner grip like the tooltip is explaining, but straight line grip gets affected heavily. I think negative 4.5 or negative 5.0 is not good. I'm going to start off with negative 3.5 for the front, and the rear do 2. Toe is once you really get this dialed down, this helps you subtly adjust it. Having the caster set the maximum for drift builds is a good idea to start with, because with caster, this allows you to either run more or less negative camber. Lower is a little bit better for higher speed cornering. It does help with stability a little bit, but it's very hard to explain, because caster is one of those things that is like a whole subject in itself, and I don't want to make this video like 2 hours long. That would be kind of silly. But basically, long story short, you want to start off with drift builds, put it towards the higher end, and then dial it down if needed. Roll bars do have an importance. If you increase the rear, you can increase oversteer. So I want to make sure I want to have, so basically this is like when the car is pitching sideways. If you stiffen this up, it resists the car rolling, so it stays more taut in the turns. So I'm going to decrease the front and increase the rear. I'm going to decrease the front to like 30 and increase the rear to 50. Springs do play a role here. I do not want the ride height to be maximum low, because that would be ridiculous. The car's going to bottom out too much, and you do not want your car bottoming out while you're pulling lateral G's. Ride height is very important in this game. If you set it too low, bottom out means the car flops around like a beach whale and is very uncontrollable. And you don't want your car compressing on the springs so hard that it hits your bump stops constantly and you're just bouncing up and down like a low rider. I can't even get my words right. You don't want to be a low rider in this game. It's fun in real life for cruising, but not for drifting. So for spring rates, I'm going to keep these default. Stiffen them can help with cornering and reducing or increasing oversteer at certain angles, but for now, I'm going to keep that alone. I do want to adjust the rebound stiffness. This is like the dampening up and down force. This affects the heavy impact bumps, where it's more than like just like a soft bump. This is like medium or high speed cornering bumps. This is why it's so important. So the formula you generally want to do is, of course, the 50 to 75% rule. So for the front, I want to keep the bump stiffness as soft as possible. So I'm going to do 11.9 times 0.45. No, that's at 45%. And then what's 11.6 times 0.45? That's 5.22. Alright, let's stiffen that just a little bit. Let's do times 0.55. Let's increase it by 10%. So that gives me a value of 6.545 for the front. So I'm going to do that there with a handy calculator. 11.6 times 0.55 is 6.38. So we're going to increase the rear bump stiffness to compensate for the rebound stiffness. You always start off with the rebound first, and then you multiply. That's how I'm getting these numbers with the calculator. Aero you don't need to mess with. Now brake pressure, normally with ABS you don't need to play with this, but I'm going to increase it to 120. And for this, I'm going to put the brakes towards the front, because I think that's actually going to lock the rear. The game's the opposite approach as well in this game. It's really weird for the brakes. Putting the brakes locking towards the rear allows the rear part of the car to be upset, which is what you want in rear-wheel drive drifting. You want it to be able to upset at will without pulling the handbrake, because pulling the handbrake is not always a useful tactic in certain turns. You want to be able to have control with your slides, not just oversteer and have no control. So putting the brake force on the rear tires first rather than the front allows you to steer more. That's why you generally want to do that. And for differentials, so I'm going to move those to 80%. This is the limited slip differential that allows you to impact your SO and DSO when you let off the gas. It stabilizes the car a little quicker. On the rear, I want to be able to increase the lift throttle oversteer, so I'm going to put that to 100%. And let's see here, for acceleration, let's see here, increasing can increase oversteer. Yeah, we want increased oversteer, so we're going to put these at 95%, not 100. Let's try that out. Alright, so that's that there. I'll see you on the drift course. I'm now at a drift center. Before I start this drift, I'm going to increase the tire PSI by half a pound for the front and increase the rear to 32 PSI. And for the gear ratios, I'm going to make them a little bit shorter in ratio. So that way it gets up to speed a little bit and decrease the camber by -0.1. And for the roll bars, I'm going to decrease the rear stiffness by 10 degrees. There we go. I'm going to apply that. Because it seems like it's recovering a little bit too much in the rear. So let's try this out. See if that works. So now in the drift zone, first attempt and first roll. Yeah, this is way better. Because I was testing the car a little bit before I drove to this point. Yeah, this is pretty good. It's definitely sliding around. Another important tip to reference here is that the car should not have traction control enabled. If you have traction control enabled, you're not going to be able to slide around like this. You're just not. You can drift with ABS on, but not traction control. Because traction control would prevent you from slipping and sliding like this. And then just use the handbrake there. So I need 10,000 more points. Let's try this again. There we go, we're at 60 miles an hour. Need to go a little bit faster. Whoa. Oh, that was a good drift dodge there. Yeah, this is a very good controllable drift car within reason. I mean, that right there was a bad example. I mean, I almost saved that drift there. So I just have to get used to my drifting technique. And just slide it around here. There we go. Oh, did I miss a checkpoint? I may need to invest in a little more grip in the tire compound. Street tire may be a little bit under-tired. Either that or I need to increase the tire width diameter. Maybe. Let's see here. I just have to drift around here. Go around again. Let's try this again. Just doing a nice good old little drift here. And just slide it around. Hopefully this will actually count for the points. Yeah, there we go. This is why you want low gear ratios and decent amount of torque so you can recover from drifts like this. Because fourth gear might still be a little bit too tall. But it is drifting really good. This is very controllable until I botch it right there. There we go. Let's just try to... Yeah, there we go. Just have to really manipulate the throttle. See, drifting is all about manipulating the throttle and gear ratios and turning and sliding like this. I'm using like every trick in the book to get a higher score. Oh, a new personal best. Okay. Still 2-star. Let's try one last time here. Oh, and you're wondering, like, what about the paint job here? If you're wondering about the cosmetic. These are using the Community Tribal and racing and nature skins or vinyl wraps you can put on your car. And I painted them white and black for the hood, which is pretty cool. I mean, I like being able to be a little artistic with my cars nowadays. I used to not really care about that, but now I do. I was like, oh, why waste the time on that? It's actually a lot of fun. It's like a way of doing art. Even though it's with a canvas that's preset, you can make some cool looking designs. I think it's pretty neat. Oh, okay. Let's see here how we did. Oh, 22,000 more. Alright. We try adjusting something a little bit here. Try one last time with this tuning adjustment. Yeah, there we go. Now it's drifting at higher speeds, so it's giving me more drift points for these wild slides here. Yeah, because you don't want to be ping-ponging off the rev counter as you're drifting. Oh. Oh. Yeah, there we go. So this has just enough power to overcome its inertia and stuff, so that's good. Yeah, there we go. Oh, 11,000, so that's better on that run there. Let's just back up a little bit and try one more run. There we go. Let's floor it. Try this again. Yeah, definitely increasing your tire PSI, at least in the winter. Seems to help with some of these high-speed turns, but the sudden loss of grip makes it a little tricky to judge. As you can see right there. That was a bad drift. So let's see if I can try sliding this again. Come on. There we go. That's a good drift right there. It's not a fast drift, but it's something, I guess. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I want to try to get it so I can... Yeah, 101. Let me try something here. Maybe I need to make the front like to 27 or 25 and the rear decrease to 38. I think the roll bars is what's limiting this car. So let me do something else here. Gear ratios are pretty good. Oh, come on. I had Mazda colliding with a Mazda 3. RX8 into Mazda 3. There we go. Yeah, I'm just flooring it this time. I'm not gonna let off the gas as much. I'm gonna have more of the power down, see if maybe that's the trick for some of these drifts. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That's what we want. Yeah, there we go. And then downshift into third gear. Ooh. Oh, didn't count some of that drift there. Ooh. Oh man, it lost control at the same point every time. I mean, I'm not really like the world's greatest drifter here. I know some players are really good and good friends with would probably be able to shred this much faster than I can. Alright, let's see if I can get this to drift better on the return course. Oh, jeez. I have to go back around. It didn't count my drifts. Sometimes that'll happen too, I've noticed. You have to go a little further out and then it will start the drift. There we go. There we go. This should count. Yeah, now it's counting. Okay. I want to make sure it actually counts because I want to see if I have fifth gear. Gonna try to hold it into there as much as possible. Yeah, it's bogging down, so I need to downshift some more. Don't want to bog the car because then you have no control over your wheels. You're just making the engine strain for no reason, you know. There we go. Now this is good drift right there. Oh, we're gonna reach it. Come on. Oh, no. 116. That's the best I can do for now. 8,578 short. Alright. That was a lot of fun. I mean, I could definitely fine-tune this some more. But I think I'll leave it at that for now, for the tune setup. So, for the tune setup, as of this video, is 35.5 front PSI, the rear 32, gear ratio 518 overall, and then maybe I should make first and second gear and third gear just a little bit shorter, like that there. And then for the camber, negative 3.6 for front, negative 2.2 for the rear. Caster still at maximum. I think I'm going to decrease the roll bar just by a little bit more. And then for the rear, keep it maybe at 37.98. For springs, I'm not going to touch. I think the springs are fine for now. Dampening's still okay. It's not skidding or it's being really skittish over bumps as far as I can tell. It felt right. Brakes are still good. I might need to increase the brake pressure a little bit though to like 130%. And the differentials are locking up the way I like, so I'm going to keep that there. And then that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I cover other games too, such as Factorial, World of Warships, and World of Tanks. And that's pretty much it. If you'd like to see more of this videos, do the usual. And this is Rigsters Journey, signing off.